A Boy's Own Wartime Adventure by Brian Page. Chapter 1. Growing Up in Liverpool. Picture the scene. It's 1941 on a weekday morning, and a bunch of 6-year-olds are making their way to primary school. Grown-ups are muttering about something called the war. Fathers, uncles, and big brothers have disappeared, and there's not much in the way of cakes at the local baker's. Still, life for a gang of kids goes on much as usual. There are girls' pigtails to be pulled, smaller kids to be pushed into the road. This isn't too dangerous, as there aren't any cars. School caps to be snatched off heads and thrown into nearby gardens. Everlasting friendships to be forged. Fights to break out. Cigarette cards to be swapped, and coats to be worn back to front. And then, despite all the dawdling, the school finally appears. Except, on this particular morning, it doesn't. Instead of the usual arrangement of walls, doors, windows, and a roof, we're faced with a heap of bricks, a considerable amount of broken glass, a pile of smouldering wood, bits of charred paper floating in the air, and our teachers standing around looking baffled. It's a sight to gladden the heart of any self-respecting 6-year-old, and clearly requires further in-depth study. So, as one entity, we surged forward with all thoughts of hair-pulling forgotten, and with whoops of delight began to climb on the bricks, dance around the charred timber, and dodge the valiant attempts of officialdom to restrain us. Finally, the adults gained the upper hand, and we stood around in small groups, able, for the first time, to ponder on the burning question. Whom do we have to thank for this marvellous piece of good fortune? It was Terry who came up with the answer. "It was Hitler. He's dropped a bomb," he said, giving his nose a cursory wipe on his sleeve. Now, we'd heard a bit about this Hitler chap, as our parents talked about nothing else, and one thing was plain. For some reason, they didn't like him very much.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?